ask you about
Fuck
something.
yeah. Ask me about anything.
Joey Diaz. So, I know of Joey. I don't know Joey. I've never met him.
You never met Joey?
Never.
I'll call him up right now.
TV and the whole bit, and I know him from
meet him.
and I see your podcast and all that. And he's in the circles. He does some jiu-jitsu. He's funnier than hell, and he's a gangster, so I like him. But I don't know anything about him. So he comes on my podcast. Now he has a podcast, so of course my opening line to him is, "Hey, how'd you get into podcast?" Right? I'm going to put here's your plug for your podcast, and we're going to go on and talk about my agenda. So I say to him, Joey, how'd you get into podcasting? His response, Chael Sonnen, he wouldn't call me Chael. It was always, what, Chael Sonnen?
He still calls me Joe Rogan.
I mugged a hooker down in New Jersey and set her wig on fire. It's okay. There's two moving parts here. First off, I don't know how that answers my question of how. But now I need to know the story here. So he ties it all together with. He went on something. He got an appearance. He told the story of mugging a hooker in New Jersey and setting her wig on fire. And all of a sudden, he blew up overnight. He goes, yeah, I realized people like those stories. I never knew that I had stories. From the part of the country I'm in and the neighborhood I grew up in, I thought everybody had these stories. He's like, Chael Sonnen, I thought I'd tell you I mug a hooker and light her wig on fire. You go, yeah, well, I mugged 10 hookers and lit 10 wigs on fire. He's like, I didn't know I had stories. And then it just goes from there, and he starts telling me about... So he ends up doing 2 years or 18 months. And I said, well, what kind of jam did you get in there? And he said, well... I was doing the cop's job for him. The cops don't want drugs on the streets. I went and took 2 kilos off the streets for him. This is how he presents it to me. And he goes, yeah, the 2 kilos wasn't as big of a deal. So I robbed 2 kilos. He goes, and you know what else, Chael Sonnen? I just happen to have a machine gun. And I go, well, I can see where that happened. He goes, yeah, sometimes you just back into a machine gun. I had a machine gun with me. And he goes, but it's funny, I wasn't in trouble for the gun. I really wasn't that much trouble for the drugs. What they were upset about was the kidnapping. I'm going, okay, what happened here? This is my intro to the guy. I'm like, what in the hell is this story? You probably know the story, but I didn't. So he tells me the whole story, and he says, yeah, but kidnapping's kind of a weird charge, because when you and Vanderlei got in that scuffle in The Ultimate Fighter, if I come and grab you and I take you into the next room just to cool you down, taking you into a room against that's kidnapping. So I think like they got him on a technicality jam, like what they're doing with Frank Mir, some of these guys we're talking about. And I said, oh, okay, is that what happened? And he goes, no, I duct taped the guy. He was in my trunk, and then I held him in the house for a week before I let him go. I'm like, well, then why did you tell me? Why did you bring up the initial example of taking me next door and cooling me down? What'd that have to do? I still don't know.
Because he's crazy.